Thanks, everybody, for dropping by today. My lesson that I'm going to give you is the result of a visit I made to my doctor's office just the other week. What he said to me, I'm going to say to you, and I think you'll find it very relevant. Some time ago, I fell and I broke my collarbone, and I'm just now mending. And I've gone through a whole battery of tests: EKGs, electrocardiogram, CAT scan, blood tests, urine tests, every test they could give me, and they haven't found anything wrong with me. But as I have listened to my doctor, he gave me some advice that I think was worthwhile. And this is the advice I'm going to pass on to you that he gave to me. It's not going to cost you any money. You can leave your wallet or your purse at home. Experts aren't going to advise you to do what I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. And the benefit that you're going to gain is going to be excellent. If you do it for me, you're going to put a smile on your face, you'll think better, you'll lose some weight, your energy levels will increase, and a lot of your chronic pain will probably disappear. If I told you that he was going to tell me to do some exercising, you probably wouldn't have believed me. Do you know what he wants me to start doing? Walking. He was right. Wouldn't you like to feel better just inside and out? Well, I've been doing that. We have a recreation center not far from our house, within a 7-minute drive of my garage door. And I've been walking 1.5 miles, 6 days a week. We're living in a society where exercise is often forgotten. Over 25% of the Canadians don't exercise. We would sooner be couch potatoes, watch TV, take a ride, but don't walk. The American Journal of Medicine tells us our lifestyle has really deteriorated to an unacceptable high. Overseas statistics aren't any better. 1/3 of the worldwide population, age 15 and up, aren't getting enough exercise. That statistic has a serious impact, my doctor tells me, on our health. Dr. Charles Hennekins, a leading medical researcher at Harvard, did some research starting in 1995 to the present, and he gives some sobering reviews of our sloppy lifestyle. Here's what he said: 22% of heart disease is because of lack of physical exercise. 22% of colon cancer, same thing. 18% bone fractures, 12% diabetes, 5% breast cancer. Without exercise, you risk falling and greater danger of hip, spine, and arm fractures. My text today, I'm going to take from the Bible, because I'm going to tell you about somebody that was very fit. And his fitness and his example, I want us to follow. His name is Caleb. He's a bit of a legend in the Old Testament, a good model for my lesson today. His story is found in 2 of the books of the Bible, the book of Numbers and the book of Joshua in your Old Testament. I'll begin with the Joshua account. He's reached the end of his life. Joshua is 85 years old. Joshua 14:6. Here's what he says: I was 40 years old when Moses sent me to spy the land of promise. I brought back an honest and accurate report. My companions who went with me, they came back with a negative report. They said there were giants in the land, and all the cities were fortified, and they were men of war, and they had instruments of war, and we were only grasshoppers. I stuck to my guns and I said, Moses, it's not that way at all. With God on our side, who can be against us? We can't lose. Let's go in. Moses heard my report, and he promised me that the land that I walked on one day would become my inheritance. Now look at me. I'm 85 years old. I was 45 when God made the promise and rewarded me. Here I am all these years, 85 years now, as strong as I was then as I am now. I'm asking you to give me the hill country as my inheritance. Talk about fit. Who wants to live up on a hill where you have to walk home up a hill? Caleb. Joshua blessed Caleb, and he gave him Hebron as his inheritance, the loveliest mountain view in all of Palestine. Now back to my doctor's report. He told me, I want you to give me regular movement. Walk around your neighborhood. Start playing pickleball. Join the fitness with friends at your church. Remember Caleb's words, I'm 85. I'm as strong now as I was as a spy at the age of 40. Give me the mountain. When you and I were born, we were born to thrive. Living, moving, working, playing, overcoming life's challenges. The oldest and best activity, physical and mentally, that you can do is, guess what? Walking. Before Eve was created, Adam was assigned a task, caring for God's garden. He had to walk to do it. As mankind developed, he did it by walking. The longest living people in history, they walked everywhere, trailed their animals, hunted their game, built their shelters, cultivated their fields, and the most strategic level of fitness that they could absorb was walking. My dad, he was born a cripple, one leg shorter than the other. He was a farmer. When he walked, he hobbled all his life. He had a team of horses called Clydesdales. Long before we had tractors, those animals, they were work horses, draft horses. My dad, before he would go out in the fall to do the plowing, he would give each one of those horses an apple before he harnessed them up. And then he'd reward them when the whole day was over by giving them a carrot before they went to bed. Even though my dad was a cripple, he walked, and that man was fit. He lived till he was 89, and he died of a stroke. As I was preparing this lesson, I also thought of Jesus in our Bible. No public transportation in his day. There were no cars, no horses, or rather there were horse-drawn carriages, but no buses. Travel in Jesus' day was simply walking. Donkeys came and carried the baggage. Horses pulled the chariots. Everybody else walked. Mayo Clinic in Minneapolis. They say that the average American walks a half a mile each day, roughly 2,000 steps. Jesus would walk 10,000 steps, 5 miles, every day. Can you imagine his good health? When he was age 30, the start of his public ministry, he was probably in the best shape of his life. And during his 3-year public ministry, the Son of Man would many days walk sometimes 20 miles a day. That'd be you driving your car for 60 miles an hour for 20 minutes. That's how far Jesus walked. After his resurrection, and he rose from the grave, the scripture tells us that he walked with Cleopas to the little town of Emmaus, 7 miles from Jerusalem, where he died. Luke 24:13. Can you imagine his fitness? I can only picture how strong Jesus must have been. Before he went into public ministry, he trained as a carpenter in Nazareth with his dad, Joseph, in the carpenter shop. Mark 6, verse 3. Carpenters in that society, they were real craftsmen. They made carts, they made plows, they made doors, they made beams for houses. There was no lumber yards. There was no Home Hardware, no Home Depot. You couldn't go and buy any 2x4s or plywood. They had to make all their wood products by hand. He and his dad would have to go out into the forest and they'd fell their own trees, bringing the cedar logs home, carrying it for miles. They cut, shaped, smoothed, no electric tools, just human chisels and hammers. Jesus was the most fit young man I can imagine. Bodybuilders today, they tell us that grip, just your grip of strength, is a strong indicator of your health. Jesus' physical activity and demands on his work gives you an insight into his well-being. Back to walking. It's a great place to start, my doctor said. That's where Jesus started. From it came the tougher tasks that made him become a man. A study conducted by the London School of Economics found that women and people over the age of 50 and those of low income who walk 30 minutes a day are thinner and they're better fit than those who go to the gym and work out. When you walk consistently, you can advance your cardiovascular health, my doctor says, increase my immunity, ward off depression, make you think better. Just simple walking, said the report, is the best way to protect your heart. It protects your brain, your muscles, your lungs, your bones, and just 30 minutes a day of simple walking is adequate to extend your 10 years on your life. Even 10 minutes of walking gets you off your couch. And that's adequate to inhibit negative effects on your being a couch potato. Experts tell us that if your daily walks increase to 150 minutes a week, you've just entered into a brand new preventable category. You sleep better, energy levels rise, blood pressure and cholesterol levels go down, and you also think better. Here's what my doctor tells me. Ron, I want you to wake up, take a 30-minute walk around your neighborhood every day, 5 times a week. Break it up if you want. Do 15 minutes in the morning when you wake up, do another 15 after you have supper. The largest organ in your body is your muscle. They account for 40% of your body weight. And when you're walking, your muscles are moving. It becomes your secret weapon. Dr. Gabriel Lyon, a physician, he wrote a bestseller of the New York Times entitled Forever Strong. Here's what she said. Walking develops your skeletal muscles, and those muscles tackle the rising issues of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and they are the they're the inner engine that drives your body system along. Walking maintains your muscle mass, burns your calories, and it does it even when you're sleeping. And those muscle levels improve, and your overall strength and mobility improves, and so does your posture, prevents falls, reduces risk of shrinking bone density, and it regulates your blood sugar levels and reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes. The healthier muscles in your mass are healthier bones and joints. And if you practice that, you're not going to have a lot of aching knees or hips. Let me tell you something cruel. When you hit your mid-30s, our muscle mass starts to decline. You lose 8% of your muscle mass every 10 years. And when your muscles disappear, fat creeps in, reshaping your body. Here's the good news. Just a modest amount of walking will combat and counteract that muscle loss. 20 to 30 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week is the exercise to strengthen those muscles. And you don't have to be under muscle, according to the experts. Let's get back to Caleb in our Bible. It's Numbers chapter 13 now, verse 12. Spies have been sent out by Moses to scout out the land of Canaan. He said to them, go up, look over the land. I want you to see what it's like. Assess the people. Are they weak or are they strong? Are they fewer or many? Is the land pleasant or is it harsh? Describe the town where they live. Are the cities fortified by walls? Check the soil. Is it fertile or is it barren? Are there forests? Bring me some samples of their produce, maybe some figs and grapes. So off the 12 spies go, led by Joshua and Caleb. They're sent out to spy the land from top to bottom that God has promised them. They found everything that Moses had asked them. They arrived back with large clusters of grapes and bushels of pomegranates and figs. They were gone for 40 days before they returned home. Now comes the report of Moses. There were 2 reports. There was a majority report and there was a minority report. Let me give you the majority report first. When the majority, the 12 men, 10 of them made up the majority, they did say to Moses, boy, this land does flow with milk and honey. We've not seen anything like it. It's a lot better than Egypt, where we came as slaves. Just look at the fruit. But that land will never be ours. Why? Said Moses. The people who live there are fierce. Their cities are huge. They're fortified by walls. Worse yet, the people that inhabit those cities are giants, and we're just grasshoppers. Let's go back to Egypt, where we were slaves again, and we can take that lifestyle all over again. That's not the promised land that I want, that God promised. If we attack, they're going to swallow us alive, and we'll be defeated before we go. That was the majority report. Moses heard that. He must have had his heart broken. He was thinking yet something better. That's not what he heard. Now comes the minority report. Verse 30, Numbers chapter 13. Caleb interrupts and he says, that's not my report. He says, let's go up and take the land. We can do it. Look at what God did for us the 40 years in the wilderness. He fed us. We had manna, all we could eat. At night, he gave us fire to keep us warm. In the daytime, he gave us clouds. That was our air conditioning in the desert. When we were thirsty, he gave us drink out of the rock. We lacked nothing. If God gave us that in 40 years out in the desert, can you imagine what he's going to do for us when we conquer the land? We can do it. Now comes verse 24, Numbers 14. Moses replied to Caleb, my servant Caleb, yours is the story that I want to hear, and I want it to be told. God's going to bring us into the land that you have scouted. And your children, Caleb, are going to inherit that along with you. These people in the majority report, they're not going in. We're going to wait outside the border for another 40 years before we go in. And then God's going to give it to us. But these ones that gave the majority report, they're not going to be part of that because they're not going to have an inheritance. Do you know that in my class that I teach every Sunday morning, we've got a bunch of Calebs. And those Calebs, they're just like this man in the Bible. Lord, give me my strength that I had when I was 40. And give me the mountain. I want to claim it. If you're listening to me and you are like me and you've fallen, maybe you broke something, you're getting old. My doctor said to me, you know, we've done all the testing on you and we can't find anything, but we do know something. Your problem is you're getting old. And as you get old, things do begin to fall apart. Well, here was old Caleb, 85 years old. Things hadn't fallen apart in him like they are in me. That man was so fit. He said, Lord, give me the mountain. I want to claim it as my inheritance. I often think of Jesus. When he worked in the carpenter shop, remember, he had a wonderful grip, and everything that he did was a chisel and a hammer. Can you imagine the days that he was pounding and making door jambs, and he was making carts and plows, and he had to use a hammer and a nail? Every time he pounded a nail, he probably looked at his wrist because one day those nails were going to go through his wrist and he's going to be nailed to the cross and he's going to die. He was God. He knew that. That was coming. The Bible says that he became sin for us, that we, in his glory, can be saved. That's what he did. In the story of Caleb, he gave me a wonderful example. Next month, I'm going to be another year older than Caleb. I wonder if I can really say like he did, Lord, give me the mountain. I want to claim Hebron. I'd like to climb it at my age. I can't say I'm as strong now as I was at 40 like Caleb did. But I know that man set an example that you and I can follow. My doctor said to me, get off the couch, start walking. I want you to give me 15 or 20 minutes a day. If you can give me a half an hour, 15 and 15, that'll be even better. I've been feeling better. Maybe you will be too. Well, that's my lesson. Thanks for coming by. Awfully good to have you back. I'll watch for you next week when you come back again.